Hey guys, welcome to another Jafo painting video. We are still working with figures from Massive Darkness. Today we're going to show you how to do the Ratling Warrior, more importantly the Ratling Warrior boss. So, here is the model we'll be working with today. And there you see the pile of paints that I've kind of decided that I'm going to use to do this. So we'll kind of go over what we've got here and what my intention is. So looking at the figure, he looks like he's going to be a lot of armor. So we're going to use some a lead Belcher as the armor base. We are then... Oh, but I forgot to grab out my favorite color, if I can find where it's hiding, and there it hides. We're going to do a base of Retributor armor on the weapons. We are going to do a base of Xandri dust on the cloak on the bottom half here, right down in there. The fur will be done with some Skaven Blight Dinge and then some puffing up of Storm Vermin Fur. The banding that you see on his coats there, or on his armor plates, I think we're going to do that in Ashen Gray. Once we got all of that going, got an interesting one. Of course, we're going to use our Nuln Oil to shade it all. We'll highlight the armor at least one level with Iron Breaker. We will do a Cadian Flesh Tone to kind of get where the mousy, human-y hands are. Once we're done highlighting, we'll put some Hashat Copper on his weapons to just give it that coppery tinge. Can't really see in that picture there, but it's more of a goldish copper. Also, looking at his cloak on the box art, it looks like here you've almost got a little bit of green fatigue. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a mixture of Death Guard green and Xandri dust. We'll see what that looks like, and we're going to use that as a highlight compound. And then finally, come up with a really strange idea. We'll see if this works. If not, we'll scrap the whole deal, throw the miniature away, and we'll start over. No, we'll figure something out. We're going to take some Druchii Violet, which is a very purple shade ink. We'll mix in some Lamium Medium, and what this will do is this will thin out the pigment in here, and it'll make it a little bit lighter, so it's not as thick and not as bright, not as dark as what we want, and hopefully that will do what we're going to do. So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start blocking out the armor. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to get my lead Belcher on my palette as soon as I can find wherever I hid that from myself this morning. And I'll be right back. Okay, so the first color we've got down is our lead Belcher, and we're going to use that to block out all of our armor plating. So we just want to get in there. It's fine detail work, because that's what we do best on this channel. Well, not really, but that's what we do a lot of. And that's what it seems we do a lot of when we do Massive Darkness miniatures. One thing I've noticed since I've started painting all my board game miniatures is you never realize how tiny these things are until you want to put a paintbrush on them. You never realize where your camera is until you want to put a paintbrush on it and film it. So we're just going to go around and get all of the armor plating. Now, remember guys, this is actually bare skin, bare chest. So make sure you're not putting any paint there, otherwise you're going to have to go over it, and you might not get the effect you want later. So I will get that done, and we'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Alright, and with that, it looks like we have our lead Belcher, our metal done. We're going to stick with the metal. We're going to switch over to Retributor armor. Still using our small layer brush, and I apologize for shaking the world on you guys there. And we're just going to get the face of the maces. Haha, the mace face. That is such a fun word. There's a combination of words to say. We're just going to paint all of that up to give it a goldish feel, and then once we ink it, we're going to highlight it with copper to give it more of that brassy, bronzy look to it. So I'll be right back. All right, there we go. We now have the base of our weapons done. We've done that all up in a Retributor Gold. The next thing that we're going to move to our Xandri Dusk, and we're going to do all of the cloth that is right here. We're going to paint that whole thing. Xandri Dusk is our base. Make sure you get the front and the back. Watch where your cloak is. Like here, I would do it this way. I would paint in there. Paint around in here. And we'll show you what that looks like in a second. Alright, and there we go. Now we have his, at least the base layer of his cloth done. I did forget one paint to mention. I'm going to use XV88, and as we always do, at least as I always do, that's going to be my leather, and I'm going to use that to, I noticed all the leather pouches here on his back, so I'm going to use that to go over. Now you're wanting to start to get a little bit more cautious so you don't start mixing colors. So we'll show you what that looks like in a second. And there we go, we now have his bags done. It's actually starting to look like a dude now. So now what we're going to do, we got our Eshin Gray down. We're going to use that to do all of the strapping in there. This is going to be very fine detail work. And we're just going to go through. And you just want to get everything in there. Anywhere that you've deemed is that strapping. Just want to get in there and just get that all colored up. Show you what that looks like in a second. Alright, there we go. Really hard to see as that gray kind of blends in. But he got it a little bit on that strapping there. Actually, we didn't get it on that strapping there. Way to go, Jafo. You forget 2 straps. Whoops. So we'll... Actually, you did... No, never mind. You did get it. You just didn't get it all the way up. So there we go. And we'll probably come back and we'll re-highlight that after we ink it. So the next color we're going to go to is... let me find it in my palette here. Skaven Blade Dinge. We're going to use that to do all of his fur. We'll leave his hands alone for now. We're going to... This one's an interesting one because you want to actually cut in between all the armor plates. Because you're going to need to do a little bit into the belly. And the way the armor is cut, if you see that, there is a little bits of cuts in it. So that's what we're going to need to put in there. Also going to do all the way under the armpit. Do the back there, the arms. And we'll show you what that looks like in a minute. We'll be right back. Alright, with that we've got most of our gray done. I did his chest. Did his back. Hopefully in the lighting in this room right now you can see. It's really hard to tell gray with silver, so it's not going to be much. We did his knees. So the next thing we're going to move to is Cadian Flesh Tone, and we're going to do that on his tail. And actually, do I want to do it that way? No, I think we're going to do this a little bit differently, guys. Look at that. We're going to make a call an audible on this play here. We're going to switch. We're going to go to Bugman's Glow instead. We're going to use a little bit darker, more, I think, peachier flesh. So we're going to wait on the Cadian. We'll get back to Cadian. Don't worry. So we're going to take a peachier color like this of Bugman's Glow. Make sure you want to thin it down a little bit. And that's just going to help with control of the paint and make the paint flow smoother. And realize this is exciting when you don't even see the miniature that we're working on because you see a black table. Clean your brushes. Say all the noises you don't normally hear when I do this prior to the camera coming on. So what we're going to do is the biggest part that's going to get this, we're going to be very, very careful with it, is the tail. You don't want to mix the colors up too badly. And then we're going to do the hands and the bottoms of the feet here. I did them in gray and I don't like that, so I'm going to just go back over them in this flesh tone. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Alright, we've got a majority of what we need done here. Got 2 more colors that we're going to do, and then we would have a more or less tabletop ready miniature. We're going to use a Rhinox hide. It's another paint I just decided to take out, and what we're going to use that for is we're going to use that for the wood of our handles there. Okay, and then we're going to do our Ushabti bone. We're going to use that to pick out all of his teeth, all of his fingernails, and his toenails. So I'm going to get that going, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Alright, look at that. Of course, as I say I'm done, I find more things that I missed. I'll quick get those for you. So with this, I would say stage 1 is done. Okay. So what we've done here, we've got a bunch of colors. I'll tilt this up a little bit so you get a little more room to see. You get a bunch of colors here. A lot of it is kind of mixed together. The grays and the silvers look a lot of the same. Put a little bit of a pink on his nose, done up his teeth. We did some, bone on the toenails and fingernails. Put that Rhinox hide there to give it a wood look to the maces or flails that he's wielding. So that is everything. That is everything that we go. And as always, this would be a good step to stop. Step to stop. I like that. This would be a good place to stop at, and it would add, again, a lot more life to your table. But if you want to keep going, let's keep going. So the next thing that we're going to move to then is we're going to do an all-over shade with Null Oil. I will get that done, and I will show you what that looks like shortly. All right, there we go. Now with that, we have our shade has been applied. And it has darkened him up, it has dirtied him up. More importantly, one of my favorite things is it has kind of added some detail, a lot of detail to this miniature. Again, this is a fair place to stop. And in fact, if you were to stop here, you would still have, once again, a wonderful miniature to put on your table. And all I would do to finish this up is I would just paint up the base and move on from there. But that is not in true Jafo style. We always go that extra bit. Let me see there. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do is I see all of my paints are on my tray for you guys to look at. That is still all the remaining pots of paint that we want to use today. Right now, we're going to work with Iron Breaker, which is a little bit brighter steel color. We're going to use that to kind of brighten up the armor in places here. You want to just bring up that sheen again. Anywhere where you get to the recess, though, you want to make sure that you leave the ink and the dark coloring so that it just gives it that good, or that dimensional look to the metal. So we'll get that done, and we'll show you what that looks like in a minute. All right, just like that, we brought a lot of shine back to this model, so his armor is all nice and shiny. If you do take a little bit of closer look here, like right in there, I left a lot of the darkness at the edges of the armor. You just want to leave a little bit of that previous 2 coats that you've put on there. So the next thing we're going to move to is our Hachette Copper, and we're going to do all of the body here of the flails to just give it that almost penny look. You want to make it. You want to be getting that penny look to them so that they look coppery and they fit in kind of like the artwork, so that he's not just wielding golden clubs and, you know, your heroes are stealing his weapons because they're solid gold. We'll show you what that looks like in a minute. And there we go. We've got a kind of a mixture of a copper and gold look to it. So the next one that we're going to move on, just keep trucking along here with our highlights. We're going to move on to the Storm Vermin Fur. That is our little bit lighter gray than our previous one, and we're going to... I have watered it down almost a little too much, but we're going to just kind of repaint over a lot of his skin and brighten up the color, leaving the patches of fur. So I'm going to do that. Don't forget his knees. I'm just going to be highlighting him all the way up. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Alright, there we go. We've got our Skaven Blight Dinge, or Storm Vermin Fur, Skaven Blight Dinge. I don't remember what we put on there now. Nope, Storm Vermin Fur. Storm Vermin Fur. And we got that cracking on. That brought him up into another gray. Around the belly here is where we're going to put the unique concoction. Hopefully this will work. And I think what I'm going to do is what we're trying to do. Let's see if I can get this so that it doesn't have too much light there, but it seems lighter. I don't know. We'll let this dry and we'll see what that does. But time to continue to move on. We're going to bring back our Eshet Gray. That's that darker gray. We're going to use that to fill in the strappings on this model. I'm going to hit it there, there, there. It's actually a real quick one. Let's go back over. There. Got one there. And finally, you've got a belt here. And then I decided also this right across the legs here. And all we're doing with this session is we just want to kind of promote that a little bit more. Clean off your brush and get ready for the next color. So the next color that we're going to do, I'm going to try a 50-50 mix of Cadian Flesh Tone and Bugman's Glow. And we're going to go over all of the fleshy looking areas and just brighten those up a little bit. I'm going to make that mix and I'll start showing you what that looks like in a second. Alright, so we take a single blob of Bugman's Glow and a single blob of Cadian Flesh Tone. It looks something like that. We're going to use that to highlight up our dude. So we'll get the real easy one out of the way. Just kind of give him a little bit of a pink nose. I'm going to get his hands. There. And then you also want to get his tail. And if you guys ever actually watch how much paint I put on my palettes, if I'd ever show you, I do waste a lot of paint. So if it happens to look like that, that's not surprising. But so I'm going to go touch that up and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. Alright, with that we have our tail and our paws and stuff done. They're brought up. I also went ahead, as you can see, and I put my beady red eye on him. And now I've gone ahead and I've started with a single bloob of Deathguard Green and a single bloob of Xandri Dust. By the way, we did our beady little eyes in Mephiston Red. So I did a dollop of green and tan and put them together. They get that, like, I don't know, baby poop green. It's probably not YouTube friendly, but that's probably what it actually is. And we're just going to kind of go over this cloak in this greenish color. And we want to bring up we don't want to lose any of our highlighting from the ink, but we want to bring in a greenish tinge to the clothing. And there you go. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. All right, and there you go. And now we've added that sickly pea soup green, and it gives it just that green tinge enough to, you know, make it almost look like a little bit of a moldy look to it, like the leather has been a little too dampened and stuff. And with that, I went ahead and finished up my base, as I've always done in every one of my models so far, is a Dawnstone base, just a standard flat gray base. And there you go. That is a Ratling Warrior boss. With this camo or with this color scheme, you should be able to finish up the Ratling Warriors. If you would like to see the minions painted separately and see if I do anything different for that, you know, please put a comment in the video down below. Comment on the video down below. Excuse me. The one thing that I did decide to change is I mentioned at the beginning that I was going to do a Druchii Eye Violet thinned down, and I decided I don't like that idea. The art on this card, if you can see it clearly, if I can block out enough of the lighting in my room here, the art on this card kind of gives it like a purplish bluish hue right here on the edges, and I just didn't want to try and deal with that, so I just kind of went with what I have. So we've got a pretty dull silver. I like the green. The green brought out a lot of, I think, uniqueness to this model. I also went in with the same color as our tail and hands. You can see I went in and I picked out his ears, the insides, with that little more flesh tone. And there you go. There you have it. One massive darkness Ratling Warrior boss. Brings a lot of life to your table. Let's see if I can get a better look. There we go. Instead of bringing the model to the camera, bring the camera to the model. There we go. There we go. Look at that guy. Gets proper lighting. And there you go. This has been another Jafo Paints video. If you like this, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more of this content, comment down below and tell me what you would like to see me paint next. And I'll see about getting a video made for it. Thanks. Have a good day.